You might think any fruit you plant in your backyard is harmless, but in the US, some fruits are effectively illegal. Some carry poisons, others harbor diseases. Many are banned outright or heavily restricted. Today, we'll uncover 11 fruits and plants you can't legally grow or freely import in America, and the dark, surprising stories behind those bans. Callery Pear. If you lived in the suburbs during the 1980s, you've seen this tree. Perfect shape, beautiful spring blooms, and advertised as disease-resistant. The Bradford pear, a cultivar of the Callery pear, was once the poster child of urban landscaping. The U.S. government itself promoted it as a miracle tree, fast-growing, low-maintenance, pollution-tolerant. It seemed flawless. But that perfect tree became a national disaster. Its sweet-smelling flowers attracted birds that spread its seeds far beyond city limits. In the wild, those seeds grew into thorn-covered monsters, dense, impenetrable thickets that choked native plants and shredded tractor tires. By the 2000s, the same states that planted them began to ban them outright. Ohio, South Carolina, and Pennsylvania now list the Callery pear as an invasive species. And here's the irony. The government once gave them away for free. Now it spends millions trying to destroy them. The perfect tree turned out to be the perfect mistake. Miracle fruit. It's tiny, red, and almost tasteless. But once you eat it, everything sour turns sweet. Lemons taste like candy, vinegar like apple juice, even beer like a sugar bomb. This is the miracle fruit, and it does something no other fruit does. It rewires your sense of taste. In the 1970s, it nearly became a global food revolution. Entrepreneurs wanted to market it as a diet sweetener, a natural way to make healthy food taste amazing. But the FDA stepped in. After a mysterious series of lobbying efforts by the sugar industry, the agency classified miraculin, the active compound, as an additive, blocking it from being sold commercially as a sweetener. Some researchers believe powerful sugar corporations killed the miracle before it could threaten their profits. You can technically grow it in America if you find the seeds, but importing plants is heavily restricted. The few that exist are sold quietly by collectors, often labeled as novelty plants. It's a fruit that could have changed the food industry forever, and maybe that's exactly why it disappeared. Black currant. Once beloved across Europe for its rich, tart flavor, the black currant was poised to become the next big American crop. Farmers were excited. The berries made incredible jams, wines, and syrups, and the plants thrived in cold climates. But in the early 1900s, disaster struck. Black currants were discovered to be a carrier of white pine blister rust, a fungal disease that didn't just harm the fruit, it decimated the nation's forests. And at that time, the U.S. was a country built on wood. Lumber wasn't just an industry, it was the backbone of the American economy. Homes, barns, railroads, even telegraph poles, all made of pine. So when scientists realized that a few currant bushes could wipe out entire forests of white pine, panic spread through Washington. By 1911, the federal government made a brutal decision: wipe the plant out completely. Federal agents and local volunteers went door to door, ripping out every black currant bush they could find. Entire communities watched as gardens were burned, because protecting the timber industry was seen as protecting America itself. For nearly 50 years, growing black currants was a federal crime. Even after the ban was lifted in the 1960s, many states, like Maine, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts, kept restrictions in place. Ironically, today's currant varieties are rust-resistant. They pose almost no threat, but the stigma never faded. Over a century later, the black currant is still treated like a ghost of a threat that once almost destroyed America's forests. Amur Honeysuckle. With its delicate white blooms and sweet fragrance, Amur Honeysuckle seems harmless, even beautiful. But beneath that charm lies one of America's most successful invaders. Native to East Asia, Amur Honeysuckle was brought to the U.S. in the late 1800s by well-meaning botanists who saw it as a perfect ornamental plant. It grew fast, handled poor soil, and produced clusters of bright red berries that birds loved. It was too perfect. Within decades, it had escaped gardens and spread like wildfire through forests, highways, and suburbs. Birds devoured its berries and carried the seeds for miles. But those same berries contained chemicals that stunted native seedlings. Entire ecosystems started to change. By the 2000s, scientists realized the plant wasn't just surviving, so it was reprogramming entire forests to favor itself. States like Wisconsin, Ohio, and Vermont began banning it outright, calling it a botanical insurgent. Foresters found that where Amur honeysuckle grows, native bird populations collapsed by over 50%, because insects that feed on native plants can't survive on it. A plant introduced for beauty ended up rewriting the genetic balance of American woodlands, and it's still spreading today. Even now, cutting it down isn't enough. The roots can re-sprout from fragments. Nature designed it to endure. Humans helped it dominate. Russian olive. The Russian olive tree was supposed to be a hero, a drought-resistant solution for farmers during the Dust Bowl era. Imported from Eurasia, it could grow anywhere, stabilize soil, and feed birds with its silver berries. But the dream backfired. The tree turned into an ecological vampire, spreading along rivers and wetlands across the West. Its roots suck up to 3 times more water than native plants, drying up creeks and lowering water tables in already arid states like Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming. It doesn't stop there. Russian olive also releases chemicals that poison the soil for other plants, creating monocultures that wipe out native willows and cottonwoods. Once praised by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, it's now banned in multiple Western states. Autumn olive. If the Russian olive was an ecological vampire, the autumn olive was its golden twin, another invader that came disguised as a savior. In the 1950s, the U.S. Department of Agriculture encouraged farmers to plant it for erosion control and wildlife food. It worked too well. Autumn olive grew faster than native shrubs, survived drought, and produced tens of thousands of berries a season. Each one carried seeds coated in natural sugars irresistible to birds. Within decades, it blanketed the Midwest and East Coast. Today, it's officially banned in states like Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Connecticut. The cruel twist? Autumn olive's berries are actually rich in lycopene, the same antioxidant found in tomatoes, and can even make nutritious jam. But thanks to its destructive roots and nitrogen-altering chemistry, it's now labeled an ecological disaster. A fruit that feeds you but starves the forest. Manchineel. This one isn't just illegal, it's lethal. The Manchineel tree found in parts of Florida, the Caribbean, and the Gulf Coast is so toxic that even standing under it during rain can blister your skin. Its innocent-looking green fruit, the death apple, resembles a crabapple, but biting into it is a death sentence. Every part of this tree contains phorbol esters, compounds that trigger chemical burns, blindness, and respiratory failure. Even burning its wood releases a toxic smoke that can cause temporary blindness if inhaled. Spanish explorers once called it La Manzanilla de la Muerte, the little apple of death, and they weren't exaggerating. Caribbean locals still paint the trunks of these trees bright red to warn tourists not to approach them. Despite its horror, the Manchineel isn't all evil. Scientists have discovered that compounds in its sap could one day be used in pain management or cancer treatment, proving that even death has something to teach us. Still, in modern America, growing or owning this tree is completely prohibited. It's one of the few plants on Earth whose danger is so absolute that its existence is marked by warning signs. China berry. The China berry tree was once the darling of southern gardeners. With golden clusters of fruit and shade-spreading branches, it looked like something from paradise. But paradise was a lie. Behind its beauty, every part of the China berry is poisonous. The leaves, the bark, and especially the berries. They contain alkaloids so toxic that eating just a handful can cause seizures, paralysis, or death. In the 1940s and 50s, the tree became a popular street ornament across Texas, Louisiana, and New Mexico, until hospitals began seeing a rise in mysterious poisonings. It turned out the victims were kids who'd been picking the pretty yellow berries from their neighborhoods. By the time the truth came out, the China berry had already escaped cultivation, spreading through riverbanks and forests. Birds ate the fruit, immune to its toxins, and scattered its seeds far and wide. Soon, entire ecosystems were overrun by these toxic invaders. Today, many southern states have banned or restricted China berry trees. Ironically, what began as a symbol of beauty and hospitality has become a silent killer, one that still lingers in backyards across the South, waiting for the next curious hand to reach for its fruit. Barbados Cherry. The Barbados cherry, also known as acerola, might be one of the most powerful superfruits on Earth. A single cherry-sized fruit contains up to 65 times more vitamin C than an orange. It's packed with antioxidants, immune boosters, and everything the wellness industry dreams of. But in parts of Texas, Arizona, and California, this little fruit is treated like a biological threat because it's not the cherry that's dangerous. It's what might be hiding inside it. You see, acerola is a magnet for the Mexican fruit fly, one of the most destructive agricultural pests ever recorded in North America. This fly lays its eggs deep within the fruit, where larvae hatch and burrow unseen. By the time you notice, it's too late. The infestation can spread to citrus, mango, and avocado crops, causing losses worth billions of dollars. To stop that nightmare scenario, border states have drawn a hard line. It is illegal to plant, import, or even move a Barbados cherry tree across state lines without authorization. Agricultural inspectors have the legal right to seize and destroy any found in violation. The irony is brutal. A fruit that could have been a nutritional goldmine, banned not because of what it does, but because of what it invites. And there's a darker layer here. In the 1970s and 80s, U.S. citrus and border agriculture were under constant siege from invasive pests, and some experts suspected human interference, even biosabotage, as certain infestations appeared in key crop regions right before export surges. Was acerola just collateral damage in the fight to protect big agriculture? Or was it simply a victim of paranoia in a system built on control, not curiosity? Whatever the truth, the world's richest natural source of vitamin C remains locked out of many American gardens. Not because it's unsafe, but because it might attract the wrong kind of attention. Ackee. Ackee is celebrated in Jamaican cuisine. Red pods that split open to reveal creamy yellow flesh and glossy black seeds. But it hides a deadly secret. Unripe ackee contains hypoglycin, a powerful toxin that can trigger vomiting, seizures, and even death. Because of this risk, the U.S. bans fresh ackee fruit and restricts its import. Only fully processed and regulated canned versions are permitted. What looks like a tropical delicacy can become a fatal mistake if picked too early. Star fruit. The star fruit, or carambola, looks like something designed for Instagram. Golden, glossy, and shaped like a star when sliced. It's sweet, refreshing, and packed with nutrients. But for some people, it's also deadly. Star fruit contains neurotoxins that healthy kidneys can filter out. But for anyone with even mild kidney disease, those toxins can build up in the bloodstream, leading to confusion, seizures, or even coma. Doctors have documented fatal cases in both the US and Asia from people who had no idea their kidneys were compromised. Because of this, states like Texas and Arizona place restrictions on certain varieties, especially those grown near citrus orchards, since they can also harbor citrus greening disease, a plague that's already devastated Florida's citrus industry. It's the perfect example of how nature's beauty and danger often come packaged together, sweet and poisonous, light and shadow. And while the fruit itself isn't illegal everywhere, growing certain strains in the wrong place could earn you a visit from agricultural authorities.